equally as good as Rick Ross and Brett Barish, Kyle Madson.
That's a lie. You're lying.
Yeah, no,
What do you mean?
You are patronizing me, and I will not be patronized.
We are right. I mean, we're family, all of us. That's true.
Yeah, but like there's a hierarchy in a family, and Rick Ross, he doesn't have to be 10 levels above me, but he's at least one.
You gave yourself one, huh? That was it.
Yeah. Just at least
one.
At least.
We're happy Kyle's here with us.
Rap, man.
That's I've seen you dance though.
You have.
I've seen you dance.
You got moves like Jacker?
I'll send you the video.
Don't, please don't.
There's a great caption for it too that I can think of. You said you got heat for Logan Murdoch? Logan was with us earlier.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's really cool to know that his phone still works. Because apparently he can get back to you guys, but not to me. I'm hitting him up. I hit him up to do a radio hit. I hit him up to see how things are going because I love his podcast with Rajah Bell, Real Ones. They do such a great job. And I can't get a response. So, no, that's cool. That's cool to know where I stand with my guy Logan, who I've known for 8 years or whatever.
Kyle, there's a hierarchy in families. And I could be mistaken. Logan got right back to us. Like, I don't even think Kenny put the phone down before Logan texted back.
Must be nice.
To be fair here, Kyle, we'll go behind the scenes and pull back the curtain.
You guys are both Laker fans.
That's just cap. But, to be fair, I hit Logan up a couple of weeks ago with no response. So yesterday he did hit me right back. But when I hit him a couple of weeks ago, didn't hear from him.
So this might be a me problem then.
Well, it's just time.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. Good booking by you guys. I love Logan.
We posted, I ended the poll because I was shocked at how lopsided it was over on youtube.com/ESPN1320. We asked, who do you have more confidence in? Luke Walton or Kyle Shanahan?
Ouch.
64% of the people said Luke Walton.
Oof.
Yeah, I could. Well, I mean, given the nature of kind of just the vibe right now, like the Kings, are doing all right. Season's just starting. Kyle Shanahan is in the midst of a disaster, and he has no good. Like, I've never seen somebody burn up equity as quickly as he did. So yeah, I could see why that is, but it would have been fascinating to see that poll like a year ago this time.
Yeah, and I wonder.
I believe it would have been 100% to 0.
Yeah, for
Kyle.
Yeah, right.
And I made the analogy earlier, Kyle, about Shanahan. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I guess losing can do this to you. But he just doesn't exude confidence at all. Like, he looks beaten down every time he talks. Don't shave no more. Doesn't even line up his beard or anything like that. Don't seem to comb his hair. Just looks beaten down. And, I mean, I want to say, pull yourself together, man. Like, I know physical appearance, but some of this, if I'm in it sounds weird, right? But if I'm in the team room, the meeting room, and I see this guy who just looks worn out, trying to be like, all right, this is what we got to do to win. It's like, are you even together yourself? Like, pull yourself together, exude some confidence for this team. Exude confidence so this team can come out here and have some confidence in itself. Is that silly, or is there something to that?
No, I think there's a little something to that. As far as the appearance stuff goes, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but yeah. I think he's carrying himself like a guy who had this master plan that's not working. And now he doesn't know how to fix it. Because they went into this year thinking that they were going to start Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be 2019 version of himself at worst and maybe a little better. Because to this point, the only adversity they've faced, they could point to injuries. Mm-hmm. They could say, oh, it was an injury problem. The 1 year Jimmy Garoppolo was healthy. So 2017, completely rebuilding year. That 2016 roster was a disaster. They had to overhaul everything. 2018, Garoppolo gets hurt in week 3. All right, scrap that year. 2019, he's healthy. They go to the Super Bowl. 2020, he gets hurt, and they have another bad year. So they go into 2021 thinking, the one common denominator here is Jimmy Garoppolo, and as long as he's healthy, everything's fine. Well, that hasn't turned out to be the case. Like they didn't put together a roster good enough to win, whether Jimmy Garoppolo has been starting all year or whether Trey Lance has been starting all year. And I think maybe even regardless of what version of Jimmy Garoppolo you're getting, because when you stack up their roster next to the Rams and next to the Cardinals and next to the Buccaneers, and that's just the NFC, you realize that, oh, this team isn't as loaded as maybe we thought. And then you start looking at how they whiffed on draft picks, and it's just the roster's not good enough. And I think they had a plan going in that it was going to be good enough, and they were going to get good enough quarterback play, and everything was going to be fine. And then they were going to start Trey Lance next year, and it was going to be a perfect Mahomes, Alex Smith situation, but it's not. And I don't think there was much of a contingency plan for that fact.
Which is amazing in and of itself.
Right. And I almost think this is going to be a good thing for the 49ers, or at least it could be. Because if they come out of this year, let's say they go 5-12, 6-11. We'll give them 6-11. Let's say they go 6-11. It's going to force them, because they can't point to the quarterback position and go, oh, well, he was hurt. Like, no, you have fixed the quarterback position. You traded 3 first-round picks to go get your guy, Kyle. Like that, Trey Lance is your guy now. You fixed that position. So going into next year, I think Kyle Shanahan is going to have to look inwardly. I think the organization is going to have to look inwardly and try and figure out what they are doing wrong that's continuing to put them in this spot where they're fighting an uphill battle to get to 500, while the rest of their division is churning out wins and churning out rebuilds, while the 49ers kind of flounder around in mediocrity.
The 49ers have problems with the roster, like you talked about. They aren't, the play calling, all this other stuff is an issue. Not diminishing that. But Kyle, I've kind of made the argument a couple of times that it might be this simple when you talk about the struggles for the 49ers, why they're struggling, and how to fix them, is that they don't take care of the ball and they don't take it away. And one of the things about giving up, the ball and having turnovers, I know you know the numbers probably more specifically on this one. It feels like the scoring percentage, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown for the other team off of a 49ers turnover, is like 97%. Like they score every single time they turn it over. And I think I look at what they do statistically, like they're not, most of the time, they're not bad yards wise, moving the ball, things of that nature, but they turn the ball over and just completely erase any positivity that they have on a good drive without getting any points up. Is it that simplistic that if they were to take care of the ball a little bit better, maybe they wouldn't be 8-1, but they could be 5-3 instead of 3-5?
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy at all, especially when you look at like a lot of the underlying metrics. Like if you want to go deep in the analytics, there's Football Outsiders has a stat called DVOA. And DVOA is just like it presents a number that ranks the teams based on the number. And the 49ers are like 9th in overall DVOA. They're like middle of the pack defensively, and they're kind of toward the back end of the top 10, I think, in offense. Like they're not bad. But Kenny, like you said, it's been penalties, it's been turnovers, on both sides of the ball, giveaways and the inability to take it away. And not taking the ball away, I think, is a little bit a result of their defense. Like Kevin Byard had an interception. The Titan safety Kevin Byard had an interception against the Rams where he just vacated his player because he read the quarterback and went and made a play. You saw Jair Alexander do that, intercepting Jimmy Garoppolo when the Niners played the Packers on that throw to Kittle down the middle. That wasn't his area of the field, but he read the play and went and got it. The Niners defense is not coached like that. They're coached, you play sound fundamental football, you stay in this area of the field, and if you play it correctly, you're going to get stops. And I think that hinders them a little bit when it comes to takeaways. Now, year over year, takeaways are not a super sticky stat. You got, like, for example, in the Cardinals game, Fred Warner had a fumble pop up like right into his chest while he was on the ground, and then he just had the ball slip out. Like, that's just bad luck. And the Niners have had a couple of dropped interceptions. There were a couple in that Colts game. I think Emmanuel Mosley dropped 2 or 3. Like there's a luck factor involved that it's not going the Niners' way, but also there are I think coaching issues when it comes to hanging on to the football. And then like I said, I think there's a schematic issue when it comes to taking it away. And that's not super easy to fix.
Yeah.
Kyle Madson, Niners Wire, Candlestick Chronicles, 95.7 The Game with us here on D-Lo and KC. You and Chris Biederman were talking about there's a report that like Kyle Shanahan, apparently like there's a belief that Trey Lance has regressed since training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Can you provide like some more context to that? Is that like is that something Kyle Shanahan said, or is that something that's being said kind of behind closed doors and it got out? I think it was to Mike Silver.
Both.
Okay, great.
It got out to Mike Silver, who reported it, and then Kyle Shanahan got asked about it. I actually think Chris Biederman asked him about it at his press conference, and he didn't really deny it. And he essentially said, like, yeah, Trey has regressed a little bit, but you could say that for everybody. And I think he was trying to say everybody has ups and downs. But to me, if you're regressing, like you're going backward, and it means that Trey Lance on November 12th is worse than Trey Lance from July 31st. And that's bad news, but it's also not that big of a surprise. Like if you're not playing,
how are you going to get better?
Yeah. If your reps are limited to a scout team in practice and reps with the twos, like I don't know. I'm not necessarily buying that because I don't think Trey Lance is getting actively worse. But I could also see where if he came out hot in training camp and they set this ceiling for him that was like, holy smokes, watch out for this guy. And then he just kind of didn't progress at that rate. I could see it being a little bit disappointing inside the building for sure. But I don't think that there's a concern that like, oh, Trey Lance isn't a good player anymore, or there's something fundamentally wrong that they missed and now he's not going to be able to come on and develop like they thought. I think he's just going to have to play. And, you know, if they lose Monday night, then maybe he gets in week 11 in Jacksonville. But, yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise if he's not playing that he's not getting better.
That was going to be my next question, Kyle. Are we a Rams loss away from seeing Trey Lance take over?
He should be, right? Like, if you go to 3-6, I don't know how you justify continuing to start Jimmy Garoppolo when you have the number 3 overall pick sitting on the bench, just gathering dust. And Kyle Shanahan has said it explicitly in a conference call. I forget after what week, but he basically said that the way to get better is by playing. And he's since walked that back a little bit and said that's not always the case. But I feel like with Trey Lance, if he is actually regressing by sitting, then you have to play. Like this is just a continuation of. It was a weird situation to begin with what they were going to try and do with their quarterback position, and now it's not getting any better. And I think that if you're 3-6 and you've lost to the Cardinals and the Rams in back-to-back weeks, and you've lost 6 out of your last 7, I don't know how you don't turn to the rookie at that point and say, okay, either maybe he's great and they figure it out, or go play some games and regain some of the time that he lost not playing in 2020.
What's your biggest, because you've been critical of this draft class, and I want to make sure I understand correctly. Are you critical of the actual players selected, or the way that Kyle Shanahan has handled the players that he selected?
I will be critical of the players they selected once they play.
Got it. You answered my question.
So no, right. That's just it. I did a piece on Niners Wire where I was trying to grade the rookies, but it's like, I don't know what grade to give Trey Lance. I don't know what grade to give Aaron Banks.
Right.
I don't want to say, hey, Aaron Banks gets an F, because maybe he's going to be a good player, but the coaching staff has not allowed him to play at all. What they've done with Diamador Lenore, who was pretty good the first couple weeks when he was playing, and now gets benched for Drake Kirkpatrick and Josh Norman. Like that doesn't fit. That doesn't work. So yeah, the handling of it, the handling of this rookie class has been a disaster. They had 5 picks in last year's draft. Brandon Ayuk and Charlie Werner are the only 2 that play. Javon Kinlaw's hurt. And then in this year's class, their first 4 picks can't get on the field, and 2 of them can't even suit up on Sundays. So, like, I don't know what the plan is, but it's not great, whatever they're doing.
And that's what leads me to my question is, why do we think Kyle Shanahan is going to handle this Trey Lance situation right?
We don't.
Because you could argue he's already handled it wrong.
So,
and now moving forward, it's like,
well, the thing with Trey Lance is, A, it's the first time Kyle Shanahan's gotten to quote unquote handpick his quarterback, but B, he's potentially the most talented quarterback that Kyle Shanahan's ever going to have worked with. Like, that's been his calling card. Like, I hear people say he's a quarterback guru, the quarterback whisperer. Like, no, we don't know that. But what he's done is he's gotten great production from guys like Matt Schaub, and he turned a disaster of a 2014 Browns roster into a decent offense. Mm-hmm. He helped Robert Griffin III have that awesome rookie season. Like, we've seen him work with, and then he takes a guy like Matt Ryan, who is, average to good, and turn him into an MVP. So I think the expectation is, okay, Trey Lance, if he's as good as he's supposed to be, Shanahan should be able to elevate him to this level that's like top 3 guy in the NFL. Like, that's the pipe dream. That's the ceiling. But with the way he's handled Brandon, like, if they start Trey Lance against the Jags, let's say, and because, spoiler alert, I think they're going to get blown out by the Rams. But let's say he starts against the Jags and he throws a couple interceptions. Does Shanahan lose patience? Or does he go, hey, that's all right. Here's what you got to do better next time? Like, that's going to be the question. Because he can't handle the quarterback the way he handled Brandon Ayuk. He can't handle the quarterback the way he handled Dante Pettis. Because you can't just say, all right, you're going back to the bench. You're going to be inactive this game until you learn how to practice. Like, that's not going to fly, dude. Especially if they get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and the backup is Nate Sudfeld or pick a career backup. It just doesn't. That's
Colt McCoy,
49ers legend. So I mean, I'm not going to say that Trey Lance is screwed, but I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have to change his tact when it comes to developing a young quarterback, because the whole doghouse thing is not going to work.
I look at Kyle Shanahan and people talk about, if he was a good coach. Me and Damian talk about it all the time, if he's a good coach and everything like that. And tell me what you think about this. I look at Kyle where at one point he was doing things that nobody else was doing, or he was doing it better than a lot of other people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the career that he's had, because some people think, well, he's just getting hyped because he's a Shanahan. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like, he was producing everywhere with different quarterbacks and different franchises and things of that nature. Totally. And what I feel has happened is the league is caught up and he hasn't adjusted. Is it kind of that simple? It's not like, well, I guess what I'm asking is it as simple to say, like, he is a good coach or was a good coach, but he hasn't made the adjustments, not he's only in this position because he's a Shanahan?
I think he's a good coach. I think he is bad at player personnel. And he has that power with the 49ers. He is the guy when it comes to – he's not a GM the way Bill Belichick is, but he's like it stops with him. And that's what I think the problem is, more than, him as a coach. And that could change depending on – but – we saw it as recently as 2020. Like, that team was going out and playing hard through week 17, even though the season had been over for several weeks. And that, to me, is a sign of a good coach. It's getting guys motivated. Guys want to go play for him. Now, that could change this year. They're 3-5. If they fall to 3-6, you're kind of looking at season over. Now you've got 8 weeks of games that, quote unquote, don't matter. Mm-hmm. If he loses this team and they of those last 8 lose 7 of them, and they just get pounded in all of them, and we get more reports of, okay, this player regressed and there's internal turmoil, and this player is like, okay, now you have to start questioning things. But I'm not ready to say he's a bad coach yet. I do think, though, that he's a little bit in over his head with the player personnel stuff, and I think that's borne itself out in kind of how the roster looks right now.
Facts.
One team wins the conference.
Great
Arizona thank you. That was a good one. I appreciate it. I worked all night on that one. Arizona or LA? Rams or Cardinals?
You're telling me one of those two?
One of those teams, yeah. Which one is it?
I think it's the Rams because I trust their defense more.
Okay. That's
I know they better win.
I don't think they are. I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl. That's what I was going to say. I told you I had a Rams take earlier. I'm not buying this. Like, Von Miller's a great name. Odell Beckham Jr. is a great name. This isn't Von Miller, the defensive player of the year. This isn't Odell Beckham Jr.
But it's Von Miller playing in a role where he doesn't have to be the defensive player of the year. It's plugging Von Miller into a role where he gets to be flanked by Aaron Donald.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's wild. And it's Odell Beckham Jr. in a third receiver role. Like, let's spread the 49ers cornerbacks out. Like, you're going to have Josh Norman on him?
Yeah, but the 49ers are inconsequential in this conversation. Like, it boils down more
pick any team's third corner.
Tampa, anybody. I'm just I don't feel like this works in football. I feel like we've seen things like this before, and it doesn't work. The super team, if you will, in the NFL doesn't work.
I mean, you mentioned it. The Buccaneers just kind of did it.
Whatever. Bye, Kyle. They did. Shut up. Bye, Kyle.
That's because Rodgers is a choke artist. That's why the Buccaneers were able to do it.
They did. I mean, they did, and I think we talked about this before.
The Chiefs also had 2 tackles down, which shifted that game a lot. But keep going.
They had like Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski. It was like whatever, and then the Super Bowl got here. And it was like, oh, hey guys,
right?
Hall of Famers.
That's the game.
Hi guys.
Like, that's the game that matters, right?
Yeah.
So no, I it's not like I didn't think the Rams were good, and now all of a sudden it's like, watch out for the Rams. I thought the Rams could have won.
I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl before all of this.
Right. No, right. That's kind of my whole thing is it's like the Rams were right there before.
Yeah.
And now you're sprinkling in Von Miller and Odell Beckham. Like, Odell Beckham Jr. is not a bad player. Like,
no, not at all.
He is going to be the best number 3 receiver in the league. And they were a really good team. They got even a little bit better, which is hard to do in the middle of an NFL season.
Yeah, they better win it. They have to win it. And not just get there. They don't win the Super Bowl, it's a failure.
Yeah.
Any chance the 49ers win Monday night?
Yeah. Like, division games are always weird. So we'll, like, the Falcons just beat the Saints. Like, granted, the Saints had Trevor Siemian starting, but like the Saints before that had beaten the Buccaneers. Like, division games are so odd. The Niners last year went into LA with Nick Mullins and turned the ball over a bunch of times and still managed to win. Remember, LA in 2019 was not great and came in and almost beat the Niners at Levi Stadium on Sunday Night Football. So I think it'll be maybe closer than we're anticipating. I think the line on the game is like 3.5 points. So maybe it'll be a little closer. The teams are familiar with each other. Like, the Niners see Aaron Donald twice a year. They're going to have a plan for him and all that. But the Rams they're rolling right now, man. And they're loaded. They're so unbelievably talented. And the Niners they're 2 teams going in opposite directions. And maybe the Niners, pick it up and play great for a night and get themselves to 4-5 and get themselves back in the conversation going into Jacksonville. But when you try and play this game out, I don't know how that happens given the state of the 49ers defense.
Jimmy's throwing for 410, baby. Watch it. Jimmy's throwing for 410. Let's go.
Maybe. I think this game's going to look a lot offensively. I think it's going to look a lot like the home game against the Rams last year. It was after Garoppolo came back from his first injury. He was still hurt. And they did a bunch of those like jet sweeps to Deebo Samuel and screens. And then they hit the play action to George Kittle for a long touchdown over the middle. I think we're going to see a lot more of that type of stuff where they try and beat the Rams horizontally and then get over the top vertically on them. So I think they'll score, but I don't know how I can't put together a stop.